Hey, what's up everybody? Hope you're having a good day. I have a really fun tutorial and we're going to be exploring making abstract designs sort of like this one. And I've been following Baugasm for a long time and he does a lot of these very colorful designs. And I was kind of playing around trying to figure out how to do this. In my feed the other day, Fall Rang, he posted this picture right here. And I really loved it. So I actually commented and said that I was curious about his process. And I was asking if the colors are material based or if this was an HDRI that was colorful. And I told him he didn't have to tell me if it was a secret, but I'd love to hear. Well, he actually wrote me back and he was kind enough to share his project files with me so I could dissect them. And he even said that I could make a tutorial about it. So we're going to go over his process for how to create this render. And then I'm going to give you a few other quick tips as well. Before we dive in, I'm going to be using Octane for this, but I did want to mention that I could not quite figure out how to replicate this in Redshift perfectly. So I want to give you a challenge. If you use Redshift, could you try and make this design in Redshift and then contact me? If you figure it out, maybe I can make a tutorial in Redshift about it and give you a shout out. So go ahead and see if you can figure that out. I couldn't get it quite right, but we're going to be using Octane for this. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a cube and we'll rotate this and make it a bit of a longer cube. And we're going to add a bunch of segments to here. So we'll add 100 segments just so that we have a lot of resolution to displace because we are going to throw a displacer in there. And in the displacer, we're going to use a noise. So we'll put noise, we'll go into that noise, and we're going to change the noise type to wavy turbulence. And we need a little bit more resolution, so we're going to use a subdivision surface. We'll put our cube in there, and that will give us a bit more of a smooth look. And we'll just use this for now. We can dial it in a bit later, but let's hit render. And what we're going to do is put in a sky. So we'll put in a sky object. We're going to right click and go to our extensions, Octane Render, and put on an environment tag. In that environment tag, we're going to load up an HDRI. So this HDRI that we put in here, it's just a sunset. There's nothing additionally done to this, just a regular old HDRI. And what we're going to do is go to our environment. We'll double the power to 2, and then we're going to play with the rotation so we get a bit more light going into this scene here. So let's find a spot where it's a bit brighter, something like that. All right, so now we are going to do the rest of this technique with the materials. So we'll go to a material and we're going to use a specular and we'll drop that onto our cube. Now the magic is basically in 2 different parameters and it's the dispersion and the index. And that is how we're going to dial this in. So the first thing with dispersion is it's set to 0. If we literally just hit this arrow and tick it on, we're going to get a bunch of colors that are introduced into here. And let me tweak the HDRI just a little bit here. Maybe we'll get a bit more color brought into here. All right, so once we have our dispersion on, what we can do is we can go to the index, and this is also going to make a big difference. So you can see that if we slide it to the right, we get a bit more chaos. And if we go to the left, it sort of stretches and smears a little bit. Now, I don't love this big giant blob here. It's too thick to have that nice dispersion. So I'm going to go to our displacer into the noise, and we're going to just play with the seed. So let's play with the random seed until we get something that, oh yeah, see, that already looks a lot nicer. Don't have that big dead space in there. Actually, this looks really cool. All right, so that is basically how you do it. Now, if you want to go one step further and have more art directable colors, what you can do is go into After Effects or Photoshop, and I just dragged that HDRI into here. I put a hue saturation to make it desaturated, and then I found this texture on Google Images. It's just a rainbow texture, and I changed it to color, so that it's kind of overlaying those colors onto the HDRI, and then I duplicated it and changed that one to soft light, and now we have an HDRI that has these color pops in it. So let's go back to Octane and let's load up that color one. So we'll go into our environment tag and we'll load that up. This is the color version, and immediately you're going to see that we have incredibly vibrant colors. We can even turn off that black background if we want to bring in the red. And with this one, because it has different colors in it, when we rotate the HDRI, let's go ahead and turn that black background on just so we can see better. Once we rotate this, we're going to pick up the different colors in that HDRI overlay. So if we go to the left, we're going to start getting that green and blue section. And if we go the other way, we're going to start getting that red and yellow section. So that is a way that you could kind of art direct the color schemes on here. One thing that I've been playing around with is we have a bunch of water splash assets on our website. These are alembics. They're just kind of like pre-baked water splashes. So if we bring these into Octane and then we put that exact same texture onto the splashes, and then you can get some results that look like this. And it's just such a cool vibe. And this technique is actually super addicting to play with. It's just really fun. And you can get some really fast results that look beautiful. So that's the technique. And just by playing with this seed, you can get completely different results. And like I said, it's super addicting and fun to play with. All right, so huge shout out to Fallrang. I'm going to put his social below. Make sure to give him a follow. And like I said, if you're able to figure out how to do this in Redshift, I would really appreciate if you could share with me. That would be super awesome. I hope you enjoyed that tutorial and learned something new. And thanks for following along at the Pixel Lab. We'll talk to you next time. Ciao.